welcome to We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I shall be your host for today or this evening or the morning. Depends when you're listening, really. It's your podcast. You decide. Joining me today, he's officially going to be, I think he's a repeat offender now because he has been on. He has been on before.
Yeah.
He is the rather wonderful, the rather creative, the rather very, very, very busy man who's known as James Hudson from Druid City Games. So, hello, James. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm very good. Thanks for having me. So, you allowed me to come back again. So I don't know if that's a benefit to me or a benefit to your listeners. I'm not really sure. We'll see.
I think it's a bit of benefit to both because I think, I was kind of looking down the list and was like saying, well, who have we had back on all the time? Well, John Gilmore's been back on, Jamie Stegmeyer's been back on, Ado's been back on again. So, I mean, it would have been absolutely rude if we didn't have you back, because then it would have been the case that I would have met you in the corridor at work and you would have kind of like looked away from me.
Right.
Totally stiffing me by not asking me back on the podcast. But the reason, I mean, we're doing what we did last time, which was last time when we had you on to talk about the Grim Forest. It was after the campaign had finished and there was a little bit of a gap. And here we are again, Guardian's Call. It's kind of been put to bed in the Kickstarter campaign sense of the word, but obviously you are now going to be working like a swan, looking like you're gliding across the water, but those legs underneath are going to be paddling. They're going to be paddling like crazy. Let's talk about the campaign.
Sure.
It was steady, and it funded. What was your thoughts on it? Because you and Edo, what were you thinking? I'm just going to ask this. Did you get together and go, I'm sick of these 30-day Kickstarter campaigns. Let's do something a bit different. Let's stretch out there. Let's see what happens. How about you? Do you do 15 days? Was this a bet?
10. Like we did 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah. So the idea there was with Guardians, it didn't have the content of like Grim Forest. And so Grim Forest, we still had more stretch goals that we had dreamed up we could have put in if the campaign would have kept going. But it hit a nice spot where it needed to land. Whereas Guardians, I had a very limited set of stretch goals. And so one of the things backers don't like is if you run out of stretch goals, you just lose a lot of momentum. And so it didn't really make sense to have a 30-day campaign when you only have, say, 3 to 5 real stretch goals.
Yeah.
The other part is, it is a soul-sucking, barren wasteland when you run a Kickstarter campaign. Yeah. You are on your phone or computer 24 hours a day. It drains you completely. So it was very enticing to think, could we shorten up the campaign and fit it in a nice tight window? The other part of that is, the faster we get it funded and the faster we can work on it and make it. So if you cut 2 weeks off of it, that's 2 weeks I get to go to work faster. So there was a lot of really good reasons to go with a short campaign. Now, with that said, and hindsight being 2020, I don't think we'll ever do a 10-day campaign ever again. So,
why is that? I mean, was what I would technically call, was it a bit kind of what we would call squeaky bum time? Because you funded, but you funded very, very close to kind of like the actual deadline. Was that was that adding a little bit of kind of anxiety? Were you comfortably kind of confident you're definitely going to kind of fund, or was there a point you were like going, oh, this is this is getting exciting, but no. It definitely didn't respond the way that I anticipated the game to, but I think that was more of the game type. So one of the things I learned was that Kickstarter backers really aren't into bluffing games, just like they're not really into dexterity games or party games. They want meaty dungeon crawling, strategic Euro type games. That's the main crowd that's there. Yeah.
So I think that had more to do with it than anything. The other piece there is, we were on pace. It seemed like the whole time, but I did really expect more out of the gate. And I heard from backers that they wanted to see Grim Forest delivered before we launched another product. And this is something I would love to talk about because
Yeah.
Honestly, it doesn't make sense. And this isn't just because I have skin in the game, but think about it. Like, Pizza Hut doesn't wait to make another pizza until the previous pizza is delivered. No. They can make multiple pizzas at the same time. Now, I do understand where backers are coming from in the fact that if people, like a lot of Kickstarter creators, it's a side job for them, right? They have their real job during the day and they moonlight and make games at night. And so I could see where that would be the deal. I have 4 people on staff now, and we make games full time. And I currently have anywhere from 8 to 12 board game projects in various stages of development currently. So it would, if I waited until I delivered a game to launch another game, I would only make maybe 2 games a year. And you can't really, unless you're, making Settler of Catan or Ticket to Ride, you can't really sustain a company off of that. And it doesn't affect the quality of a product. Like, if we're making more than one thing, actually, I think it actually makes it better because I learned so much from all the different products. It bleeds over into the other projects. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, say, Brad Talton at Level 99, I mean, they seem to be putting out campaigns on a very, very regular basis. But they've got it into the momentum place where they know exactly where they are in the campaign at any time, and they know exactly where they are with the production. They're able to keep kind of 7 or 8 balls in the air at once, kind of juggling away, so they're kind of working on that. I don't know. I think, do you know what the strange thing about Kickstarter is? I think there's some people that a little bit of entitlement has maybe crept in some cases, and people are forgetting what the point of Kickstarter was in the first place. And the other side of it is, as well as, you funded. That's the point.
Sure. That's right.
That is the main, you funded. The whole thing was, here's my campaign, I'm going to run it over 10 days, and at the end of it, the game will be produced if we go ahead and fund. And I think sometimes in Kickstarter, there's almost like a thing of, if the game isn't funded within the 3rd or 4th day, people are starting to kind of worry about it. And I was like, when did we get to that?
You're right.
When did we get to that point? It's like a pleasant surprise. It's like I spoke to Richard Keane recently about Dinogenics, and his first game, it kind of stalled in the first time he ran it kind of stalled, and people were going, well, this isn't, well, that's it, it's not going to come back. He releases it like four weeks later, and it funds within the first kind of 12 or 16 hours, and now it's sitting at double funding, and he's like, I've fundamentally not changed the game, what's going to happen? And now it's seen as a storming success because it kind of funded within the first kind of 24 hours itself.
Yeah. Richard, it's one of those things that you really, and I've got this experience from, say, you have a Barnyard Roundup, which was our first game, and you have Grim Forest, our second game, and Guardians Call, our third game, and it really comes down to, you have to make something the people want. If you don't make a product and a game that people can genuinely be excited about, if you don't bring something new to the table, mechanic-wise, theme-wise, whatever, people don't get excited about it. And if they aren't excited, they're not going to come off their wallet because, this is a luxury hobby that we're in, right? If you, I want to spend my time doing something I enjoy and I'm really into. That's one of the reasons why I put so much effort into our art is I don't like playing ugly games. Some of these, like La Granja, that's a great game, but it's ugly as hell, and I don't want to play it just because it's ugly. Exactly. There's so many other strategic games I could play that aren't ugly. So I just choose not to play that particular game. People bring it out, I snarl my lip. Not because of the gameplay, I just think it's ugly. Yeah. So it's one of those things where that's on us as creators. And that's where I feel like I failed a little bit in presenting Guardians to the right people. I think a lot of people, they say the things like, I get this in playtesting a lot. I don't like bluffing games. No thanks. As soon as they hear the word bluffing. And then I'm like, hey, it takes 2 minutes to let me show you how to play the game. Just try one round. I need some feedback. If you still hate it, that's fine. Just tell me. And everybody who tried Guardians Call said, well, that's not like any other bluffing game I've ever played. Oh, it's kind of like Sheriff of Nottingham, except way more strategic and way more thinky. I actually liked it. I kept but there's no way to really convey that through a web page.
Well, it's a different set of rules, isn't it? I mean, if I am saying to somebody, well, what is it you're doing? Well, it is like a dungeon crawler game. What do? Well, I got this amount of movement points, I've got this amount of attack points, I roll a couple of dice, I play this card, and this is what it does. So people will look at it, they can look at the facts and say, right, okay, I can try and make a decision on that. Bluffing games, now I've played John Gilmore's Vault Wars. That's a bluffing game.
Love it.
That's a lovely, I really, really, really love that game. They did Tricks and Heroes, another bluffing game. Really, 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 really good fun game. But it's really difficult because if you look at the rules for both those games, it's kind of like, I can see where you're coming from, because it is kind of like, it's almost like you have to have the people there, the people will even add on whatever more than what the mechanics and everything like that can bring. So I think there's almost a case of people will look at that and say, I need to look at the people that I'm going to be playing with, and if that's going to kind of work as well, which is, I guess it's a difficult thing to do.
It is. A lot of people, I think, know their gaming group really well. And, if you know that your gaming group isn't going to enjoy a certain type of game, then you probably don't buy it and bring it to your gaming group, because if you don't have anybody to play it with, it's useless. So I totally get it. And we knew going into Guardian's Call that it was no Grim Forest in type of numbers. Like, I had people saying, well, do you think this one's going to do better than Grim? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, no, not at all. I did expect it to do a little better than what it did. I expected to hit our miniature stretch goal. And we had one more set of stretch goals down the road that we had dreamed up, but it turns out like it might be that I might still be partnering with other people, and we might be able to pull some of that content in the future, and expansions and things like that if people get out. Because I really think once this hits and people start playing it, they're going to really have a lot of fun with it. And sometimes we just need games that are fun. I can do math brain burners, and I can have big epic campaign, ongoing dungeon crawls. But sometimes I just need something quick and easy and 40 minutes that I can sit down and play with my group and get a chuckle.
Do you think that maybe people expected another Grim Forest? I think that's what people took it by surprise. Because look at it this way, right? I'm going to say, well, Simon, but then I'm going to say, well, that's rubbish, because Simon did Fire and Ice, which was like a war game, miniatures game, which you've touched on. But the rest of the stuff has been consistently some kind of rules, models, big miniatures kind of game. Was it maybe the expectation people were going into Guardian's Call and going, yeah, it's the guys that did Grim Forest, it'll be just like, oh, it's not that, it's something completely kind of different? Do you think there was a little bit about that as well? Because the message was really strong. I mean, I saw your publicity was out there saying, well, this is what it's about, this is what it was. Do you think there was some people that went in saying this is another Grim Forest, and maybe when they didn't get that, they were like, oh, I'm going to hold back and see what happens with it?
No, I just think it was the word bluffing. I think there's just it's very polarizing. Either people really enjoy bluffing games or they don't. And I think it just really goes back to the market of audience that's on Kickstarter. They have certain types of games that they want. So like our next game from Scott Caputo is called Sorcerer City, and it is a tile builder. So like take deck building and tile laying and mash them together. It's so much fun. I mean, it is going to be a huge hit because it's a new mechanic that's kind of, hasn't been done a whole lot. And it's just fun. Like when I played the prototype, like I begged him to let me have it. And then I brought it back to my gaming group, and I don't play many prototypes with my gaming group. I don't subject them to that.
Yeah.
But I was like, guys, we've got to play this. Like, it's the only thing I want to play. It's just fun. Yes, I hope Scott lets me publish it. This was before we signed it.
Yeah.
But I was like, we have to play this. And I think not only my energy and excitement for the game will come through as we start showing that off, even in prototype form to everybody.
Yeah.
But as we build it up, I think people are going to see, man, that looks like a lot of fun. And it's strategic. It checks a lot of boxes that people are going to say, that's the kind of game that I'd like to have in my collection.
Yeah. Yeah, but Guardians Call's a success. It's getting made. I mean, it's like,
for sure.
You know what I mean? It's one of these weird things. It's like people are going, "Oh, you bet." No, it's like, no, it's getting made. It got funded. It's going to be happening. Why, this isn't a post-mortem. It's a case of yes, it's happening.
Sure. Then we can get into the real industry side of things, right? And say, so I expect Guardians Call to do very well on retail because again, it's a bluffing game. It demos extremely well because once I show you how it works. people get that organic reaction where they're smiling and they can't help themselves when they start giggling about like taking an offer from somebody. And then the high fantasy theme is just something that a lot of us wizards really enjoy, right? Like we like, and that's one of the reasons I picked that. As I'm a Warcraft nerd, I like magic. I like mythical dragons and orcs, and I love it. And so we had a story in mind, and we had a lot more lore that we wanted to put into the game. And had it been more successful, we could have commissioned more art and things like that. We had video stories for all the Guardians and things like that. And we may still circle back to those when we get into retail if people show interest in it. But, you know, part of the thing is being a creator is if you've got something that's kind of on you, that you're inspired by, it's really hard to walk away from it. I think anyone listening to this that's created anything knows probably exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard if the market doesn't respond to the thing that you've created. I mean, I walk with a lot of creators who have failed Kickstarter campaigns, and we can really nitpick the industry side and the technical side of how they executed their campaigns. But at the end of the day, the thing that they have the hardest time doing is walking away from the thing that they were inspired to make and show the world. And, you know, could I have put a different theme on it and it done better? Maybe. Could we, you know, have tweaked it and made the mechanic a little different, made it more of an adventure card game instead of a bluffing card game? Maybe. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's a bluffing game. It's a lot of fun. It looks damn good. And when people get it, I think they're going to be really, really pleased with the game that they got.
Is it strange being kind of full-time industry guy now?
Yeah.
Kind of
really
having
weird
staff and stuff and getting up in the morning and going, what am I going to do? I'm going to do my half-hour exercise. I'm going to do my jogging. I'm going to the office. What am I going to do? Give me the cardboard. Give me those white bits of paper. And then you've got staff. And you've got responsibilities. And, you know, not that you didn't have responsibilities at all, but you've got, like, you know, social media managers, and you've got people that are marketing and everything like that. And is it kind of, are you having to think, well, now this is like, you know, we're doing this is all grown up stuff now almost.
It is, yeah, it is.
You know,
it is.
Is it kind of like, well, how I'm running this business now, this is how I want to kind of run my business. Are you still determined to stay involved in the gaming side of things? Can you see yourself having to maybe kind of step back and say, well, I've actually got to look at running the company and getting more involved in the admin side of things? Or are you just like, no, hands on deck, let's get some dice together, let's get some cards together, and let's kind of see what happens?
So I'll give you an example of how our day went today. We met, got the team together. We worked on 4 different projects. We helped with a client's marketing because we do some marketing stuff in the board gaming world with some clients. Mm-hmm. And then we shut everything down. And one of the games that we're working on that we've signed with John Gilmore, I know you mentioned his name earlier. We got the team and we played he'd made some changes to one of the player boards. So we played the game. And so I think our game playing does change because we just end up playing a lot of prototypes, things that we're working on or things that we're considering, but we still play a lot of games. But I specifically still have my Monday night game group that I go to where I just sit down and I turn all the Druid City Games crap off and I just play games and I'm just a gamer, because that's what drew me into this. Was I love board games. I mean, I'm sitting right now in my office with about 1,200 board games surrounding me because I just love board games. And I still get with my son. He did give me I'll tell you, this hit me hard during the campaign because say the 2 to 3 weeks leading up to a Kickstarter and then any time during the Kickstarter is a black hole. You don't know where your time goes. Yeah. You don't know anything that's going on around you. Your family might be, you know, kids got soccer and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember any of it because it's a black hole of time. But my son, who's 8, came up to me one night. I was tucking him in, and he was like, "Dad, I really miss playing board games with you." And I was just like, "Oh, dagger to the heart." Yeah. And I was like, "Don't worry, buddy. The campaign's over on Friday, and you know we'll get back to normal." So, yeah, it is way different because overall, there's a lot of pressure to make things happen. You know, if you don't make something happen, then you don't eat. You kill what you eat, or eat what you kill, however that works. And so the other part of that is I want to stay true to making products that are gamer. Like, I don't want to ever make something just to make money. I have no desire to make products in that fashion.
Yeah.
And so that's, again, I think that Guardian's Call proves that, right? Like, I had a thing. I could have made changes to it or done things that I know would have, air quoting right now, you guys can't see it, but made it more marketable and more sellable.
We could do closed captions on that bit. James is air quoting.
But, I wanted to make the thing that I wanted to make. And I knew it wasn't going to be as big a seller as a Grim Forest, but I didn't care. And there's a section of the market that's going to love it, and there'll be a section of retail buyers that get a hold of it and love it too.
Yeah, but then on the other side of it, if you said, right, we're going to do, Druid says he's going to do a miniatures game, some people would be going, oh, I thought you were doing different stuff and innovative stuff. I didn't realize you were going to be like a, CMON kind of light, doing something just to, as you said, just to kind of make the money and get the kind of the people in. But you've expanded kind of Druid said it's not just the full-time stuff. I mean, Board Game Spotlight has gone from being something that kind of got started, I think it was earlier this year, but earlier than that, to becoming kind of like a mainstay. It's become the Care Bear board game place.
Yeah, we're the Care Bears over there on the Board Game Spotlight. Yeah, it's I try to be as positive as I can all the time, because our world is we're overly bombarded with negativity.
Oh yeah.
And, our hobby is something that we use to really kind of escape the troubles of our day, our workload, our troubles with our relationships, whatever those things are, and just play board games, right? And so when I see groups that just have constant yang and whining and negativity and trolling, I just was like, no, I want a group where we just talk about positive things. And it's really hard for some people, because the only way they know how to communicate is negatively. And we just tell those people that it's either play nice, the golden rule, you either say something nice or don't say something at all. So
Yep. But it's Stumper's mother.
That's exactly right.
No, it's Stumper's. It wasn't. It was Stumper's dad that said that, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I need to double check that. But yeah,
I haven't seen that in a while.
I need to see that again. I think I've got it on Blu-ray somewhere, and it's such a classic film. But no, because you're the Board Game Spotlight, you're working with it. Is it Derek Funkhauser?
Derek Funkhauser. He is our community manager, helps me with the promotion, because we have promotions that we do through the group. So another thing that I know is a highly sensitive subject, but we can probably touch on it and my insider riot, and then we can come back and talk about it again. But it's paid promotions. It takes a lot of time to play someone's prototype.
Yes.
To play it, to tape it, to edit that tape. I'm showing my age. That video.
I'm showing my age by understanding what you're talking about.
For the millennials on here, it used to be in plastic encasing and tape actually rolled on wheels. Crazy. Derek does a written review, which he has to play and do, and then we send people to Jimmy, Board Game Closet, and he does a podcast interview with them, and then we do live plays during the week. That's like 25 hours worth of work. But it's also a thing, I want to provide this to people who are trying to launch their Kickstarter. Like, I think a lot of people look at it as this like greedy, you're just trying to make money thing. Here's the thing. We're providing a service that is reliable to Kickstarter creators, and that is really hard. With Barnyard, I sent out over 30 prototypes.
Yeah.
I had 12 that went into an abyss. I never heard from the people I sent them to. Mm-hmm. They didn't respond to my emails, my carrier pigeons, nothing. And so that was just 12 prototypes that I completely lost. So on the flip side is creators are able to pay for a service, know that they're going to get the assets that they need for their campaign. Because let's face it, if you don't have marketing, promotion, and reviews for your game, people aren't going to back your project. And I'm air quoting reviews. We previewed the games. Okay, people, calm down. We're previewing it. We're showing you how it works, and you can decide. Like, I don't go to Rahdo or anybody's channel and hear them say, "I love this game. You have to have it." I always watch what the game is. Well, what is it? Yeah. You know, does it look like something I'm going to want? Because games they're subjective. Like I screenshotted something today. This is gratuitous. We're just going. So there was a post in BGG that said, "What do you guys think about Bloody End? Fun or just okay? I found a $20 copy. Should I buy it or pass on it?" So, there's a bajillion comments because it's the BGG Facebook page, right? Yeah. But there's a comment on top of each other, one and two comments, right? Back. The first guy says, "I was super bored by it." The second guy says, "Great game." Right? So that's what we get with games. They're subjective, and me and you can both look at the same piece of art or the same game. You can love it, I can hate it. Yeah, so I can't take anybody's opinion, their subjective opinion on a game. I have to look at it for myself. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to preview and show you as quickly and concisely as we possibly can with those promotions. Hey, here's the game. Here's what's in it. Here's how it plays. Here's a few things that stuck out to us. I let Derek go a little bit deeper into it. I let him do a little bit of pros and cons on his written review, just because he's putting more of a critical eye to it. Whereas my video is just like, hey, here's what it looks like. Here's how you play it.
And is this going to be something you're going to be expanding? I mean, because obviously the games are one thing, but are you noticing, this is obviously a gap in the market that you've noticed already. I mean, are there other things you're going to be rolling out? Is Druid City going to become more than just the cardboard that you put on the table? Is it going to be kind of more services and stuff like that as well?
I don't really know, Richard. It's one of those things where you're right. There is this gap in the market to be able to produce services for Kickstarter creators, and I think there's more room. But I really think the industry's got to grow overall. There needs to be more. There's so many things that happen, like, say, the video game industry, that we don't have in this industry, but it's just because the money's not there. The dollars aren't there. Marketing budgets for companies aren't there to really roll out a huge cinematic trailer. I tell you who's done a great job. TMG with Downfall did a fantastic job with their trailer for that Kickstarter. And then I saw some people that were upset about it because, you didn't tell me nothing about the damn game. All I saw was the theme. But they're just trying to get you excited about their project, man. Calm down.
Yeah.
So, I think as the industry grows, there's going to be more opportunities for more cool stuff surrounding our games. And I think the convention growth that we are seeing, not only at Gen Con and Essen, but all the smaller ones that seem to be every other week, we have a good game convention that we should consider, especially as a company.
Yeah.
I think our industry's growing by leaps and bounds, and I'm really looking forward to it. So to directly answer your question, I'm not sure. I don't have anything on paper yet, but I'm always keeping my eye open for ways that our talents. It's a thing. Take your talents. I tell this to everybody who's trying to get their. I'm really good at air quoting today. Air quoting. Get their foot in the door in the industry. Like, take what your talents are and see where there's a gap in the market and go fill that gap. So what I did 2 years ago was I saw that there was a lack of. You got the BGG group. You had the board game group, and then there was really a lot of just nothing else. And I felt like there was a place for a more welcoming and open and more positive group of, not to say that there's not, all those things don't happen in those other groups. I'm a part of both of those groups, and I love all those people. But yeah, so you got to take your talents, find a gap, go for it.
And there you go. I'm aware you've got a short window of time today. So, don't
we all?
It's family time, which is always important. There's all very well, making games and creating spaces and pressing together cardboard and coming up with ideas. If you don't, you want, as you said yourself, sometimes it's about kicking it back and going back and playing a game of board games with the little ones as well. And it's always a pleasure to have you on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. It's always a pleasure to interact with you kind of online. You have you become like a force of nature over the last
Well, it just so happens that I really enjoy talking. So, if you ask me to sit down and talk, then I'm pretty much going to sign up for that.
I didn't want to say anything. I heard rumors. I heard John Gilmore started it, so you might
I'm a professional talker, so
there's a song behind that.
Or a joke.
or both potentially. If people want to keep an eye on where you are and what you're doing and what you're going to be up to, where can they find you on the interweb nets, Mr. Hudson? So
the easiest and the most insider information that you can typically get is going to be if you go to druidcitygames.com. We have a newsletter sign up. Okay. We only send something out, say, once a month, just to kind of say, here's the state of affairs. And I won't lie, you do get a couple more around Kickstarters, so just be prepared for that. Mm-hmm. And then, like we mentioned before, the Board Game Spotlight group, that is my group, that is my baby, and I post there first before anything. So Facebook, Twitter, I do all those things, but newsletter and Board Game Spotlight.
Those are the main ones. What we'll do is we'll take those links and we'll put them in our show notes so that we have notes to show.
Awesome.
We are obviously going to drag James back on when the next campaign comes out because we can send the messages through Facebook now and he hasn't blocked us yet. So we'll see. We'll see how long that's.
Man, sure. I would love to come on and talk a little bit before we launch Sorcerer City because I just really think the board game community is going to be really excited. You know, Scott Caputo, who just did Whistle Stop, that is tearing through the ranks of highly ranked games. He's super talented. I've seen a lot of his other prototypes. He's got another game that I'm actually considering. He's doing it. He's going to be a really well-known name soon, and he nailed it with Sorcerer City. So we're really excited about that one.
So next time we'll make sure we get you on before the campaign instead of a couple of weeks after.
Yeah, we can. We're hoping to do this one sometime. Let's just say around February. So first of the year, we can chat again, and I'll get you guys up to speed on where that game's at.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, cool. Well, if you want to keep an eye on what we are up to, you can go to Google. You can search for We Are Not Wizards. You will find us on Facebook. You'll find us on Twitter. You will find us on YouTube under We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast because we've got over 100 subscribers on YouTube. I have no idea how that happens, but I am very grateful, and I pray to the gods of the red and white. If you like what you've heard this evening, jump over to Apple Podcasts and drop us a subscription. Go onto Facebook and jump into the Board Game Spotlight as well, because it is a nice, warm, and lovely place. It's like coming in from the rain and having somebody hand you a mug of cocoa and a nice warm duvet. It's that kind of warm place.
We just talk about games, man.
Absolutely. If you're on Apple Podcasts, if you want to leave us a review, thank you very much for doing so. Remember, as we always say, don't give us 10 stars because that makes us big-headed, but don't give us 1 star because that'll make us cry. Give us 5 because it's in the middle and it's average, and we are a little bit average. But the person who's not being average is, let's face it, he is the multi-talented Mr. James Hudson. Thank you very, very much for coming on again, Mr. Hudson. It's been a pleasure and a half.
Thank you for having me.
And there's only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we're many things, but we're not wizards. Definitely not wizards. Are we wizards, Mr. Hudson?
Not today. Not yet. Still in training.
Still. Don't you dare become a wizard on me. And the second thing is to say goodbye. So as I say, it is a goodbye from Mr. James Hudson. Say goodbye, Mr.
Until
Hudson.
next time.
Until next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
That's it.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s. As I say, jump on Druid City Games and see what they're doing. Jump on Board Game Spotlight and see what's happening with that. Go and say hello to Derek because he's actually a wonderful, very friendly, very open and very happy man to chat to, and he does some good work in terms of his written stuff and everything like that. But until the next time, goodbye.